Shana Tova. Welcome to everybody who's here to PJTC, whether you are here in the room or here on the Zoom, however you are joining us, you are in the right place. And we are so grateful for the opportunity to share this journey of Yom Kippur with you. We're going to be together in person or in spirit for the next 24 and a half hours, and I'm so excited that you've decided to, I don't know if you saw that video that we sent out about our safety protocols. We know you have your choice in synagogues to fly with, and we're so grateful you're flying with us. So, thank you. I so miss having people, I don't know when the jokes land. So, and she's a tough one. So anyway, I'm so glad you're all here. I just want to say a couple of things before we get started, especially if you're new to this community. This is a musical community and it is a safe community. First, on the safety, I really appreciate everybody who has been following all of the protocols established by our wonderful safety and security task force. I'll ask that you please keep your mask over your nose and your mouth for the duration of your time in this room. You see that some of us are not masked up. We are double and maybe some triple vaccinated, quadruple tested, just so that you can read our lips if you need to. Anybody else who's here, please keep your mask on while you're in this space. And if you need a break from your mask and you need to get up and leave the room, we will not be offended. We will be happy to have you take care of yourself the way you need to. Find the designated areas. Go say hi to the peacocks for me. Do what you need to do. Also, as a matter of safety, yes, this is a fast holiday. It's going to feel pretty slow by about 6 o'clock tomorrow, but this is a fast day. The rabbis for hundreds of years have said that if If fasting jeopardizes your health, not only are you exempt from fasting, you are forbidden to fast. So if you need to eat, if you need to drink at some point to maintain your sanity, consciousness, what have you, if you need to drink water, to take medication, whatever your doctor tells you to do, please do it. Do what you need to do. There are discreetly placed waters and granola bars and things like that here for people's safety. So do what you need to do, and we will support you throughout no matter what. This is also a musical community, and tonight we have lots of wonderful musicians up here, including our wonderful musician, Cantor Ruth Berman Harris, who I'm very honored to be here, have as a partner for this journey. At any point, though, don't feel like you have to listen to us the whole time. We highly encourage you to sing along. If you know the tune, if you kind of know the tune, if you want to know the tune, sing. If you don't know the words, hum. If you catch the rhythm, tap on the pew or on your prayer book, or if you have some bongos at home, please do that. And for those of you at home, even if you're on mute, sing out. That's when I do some of my best singing, when I think nobody can hear me. And even if we can't hear you, we can feel your presence, and you'll have a better experience of the service. So in just a moment, we are going to welcome in this holiest day of the year, like we often do with the lighting of candles to increase the light in our homes and our hearts. Before we do, I want to nod to a custom that I first learned a couple of years ago, my first high holidays at PJTC, where you might remember fondly that this bema at this time of year would be super duper crowded, because we would have all of our living past presidents who were able to join us up here, taking turns holding Torah scrolls throughout Kol Nidre. It was a beautiful custom. I didn't know where I was supposed to stand, but I got with the program. This year, for obvious reasons, we're not able to do that same thing. However, we're going to do something that I think is better than we've ever done before. And what I have here is a list of all the past presidents of PJTC going back to 1921. That is 100 years of leadership in this community. And I'm going to share their names with you now, expeditiously but thoroughly. So we start with 1921. Our president was C.M. Witus, followed by A.B. Schleimer, Harry Cohen, Morris Weinstein, Charles Posner, John Beskin, Louis Karish, David Goldman, Andrew Scher, Bentley Tufield, David Goldman, Sidney Lippo, Louis B. Silver in 1946, followed by Albert Paperno, Louis B. Silver again, busy guy, Joseph Glazer, Herbert Robinson, David Goldman once more, Paul Gordon, Frank Ackerman, William Hecht, Aaron Moyer, Ben Barth, Max Stone, Samuel Weiss, Louis B. Silver once more, Joseph Ehrenreich, Marshall Alper, you heard that right, Marshall Alper, hold on for another Alper, Robert Hoffman, Max Stone again, Stephen Kay, Josh Pace, Eugene Fingerhut, Art Taus, Barry Siegel, B. Marshall Katz, Kenneth Gerst, Ira Lowenthal, Gerhard Notman, Marcia Alper, Kathy Michaels, Phil Callahan, Brian Mark, Mark Siegel, Mark Essenston, David Lauren, Sandy Hartford, Stuart Miller, Judy Callahan, Matt Ober, Jonathan Weiss, Faith Siegel, Jeffrey Landau, Jeffrey Debosky, and last but certainly not least, in 2021, Stacy Sharp. This is 100 years of leadership and stewardship in this wonderful community. And many of you are present here tonight. Many of you are present in another way tonight. Some of them are no longer with us, but all of them, I believe, are present. So I want to thank all the past presidents in the room and on the Zoom, and everyone who has lifted this place up for a century here in Pasadena. With that, we are going to light the candles, ushering in Yom Kippur. We're on page 199. If you want to follow up the blessing, it's my honor to call up Betsy Kahn to light the candles this evening. And we're also acknowledging Jill Goldwright, who is going to be joining Betsy. She's here in spirit.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, l'hadlik ner shel Yom HaKippurim.
Amen. Now that we have ushered in this holiest day of the year, in a moment we're going to begin with Kol Nidre. This is a part where we will be standing the entire time because we will have the ark open the entire time. And the honor of opening the ark belongs to Stacy and Todd Sharp. Please rise as the ark is open. And our Gabbai, Sandra Dreschner, will be holding a Torah scroll for us on behalf of all of our past presidents. We're on page 204, page 204.
Vishiva Shalmala Vishiva Shalmata Aladat Makom Veldat Akal Anu Matirin Leitpalel Im Havaryani
Kol Nidre on page 205. It's our custom at this time to share a blessing of gratitude to God for giving us life, for sustaining us and allowing us to reach this moment.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Return the Torah scroll with our gratitude, holding it in honor of all those who came before us. And I'll ask everyone to stay standing just a little bit longer as the ark is closed. We're going to go now to page 207 for our call to blessing the Baruch. Page 207, please remain standing for the Baruch. Continue on page 207.
ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך וברוך שמו,
המעריב הרבים.
Before we go on to the next blessing on page 208, I want to call your attention to something unique about this holiday. It's our custom to say the Shema twice a day in prayer services and as many times as you like beyond that. And often when we say Shema, when we say those first 6 words of the Shema, then there's a next line after that you'll see in the prayer book we normally say in kind of sotto voce, sort of a balachash, an undertone, if you will, before we continue with the V'ahavta, except on Yom Kippur. So in after Ahavat Olam, when we say the Shema, that first line, those first 6 words, we will then say Baruch Shem Kavod, etc., out loud. This is the one time a year or the one day of a year where we do it, so please take advantage of it. We continue with Ahavat Olam on page 208.
Ahavat Olam is one of those new melodies that we added to this prayer experience. It is a new melody, but it also has some kavanot within it, some explanations. We will join together with Rabbi in pushing you to be present, to really understand and dwell in this moment right now. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. Let's try that again together. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו ושוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם באהבת עולם. בית ישראל עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת.
In the previous prayer, we bless God as our source of light. God fills our senses, illuminates our path, makes clear what was unclear. God is our source of wisdom and understanding. But that's not all there is to life. In this prayer, we speak of God's ahavat olam, the constancy of God's love. The constancy of God's love. Here we bless God who teaches us to love by constant example. So by following God's ways, we are not only wise, we are loving and we are compassionate.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. ועבדך לתסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות לידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. והיו שמות תשמעו.
We continue at your own pace at the top of page 209 with the second passage of the Shema, and we'll get back together in just a moment. Let's join together for the next passage in the middle of page 209. Page 209. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta lehem v'asu lahem tzitzit al kanfei bigdeihem ladorotam ונענו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריכם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני
אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת, ואמונה חוזרת.
וכל זאת יקיים עלינו, כי אדוני אלוהינו ואין זולתו.
Continue on page 210, page 210.
ומלכותו ורצון קיבלו אליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל, לכנו שירה ושמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך וברוך שמו,
גאל ישראל.
We continue with Hashkivenu at the top of page 211, page 211.
השכיבנו, השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום. השכיבנו, השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, ועמידנו מלכנו לחיים ולשלום, ולשלום.
The best teachers teach by example. The loving parent is most successful in guiding us by modeling behavior we are to emulate. God teaches us wisdom so that we may guide others with wisdom. God shows us love with constancy so that we might aspire to that holy height of compassion. In this prayer in Hashkivenu, we bless God for modeling faithfulness and protection. And in so doing, we reach for that divine faithfulness so that others can rely on us to be their protection and their shelter of peace.
Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, ufros aleinu sukat shlomeh. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, leShalom. Hashkivenu, Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, Adonai Eloheinu leShalom.
We continue with the Hatzi Kaddish on page 212.
We actually going to do one line before the Chatzi Kaddish on 212. Ki vayom haseh yechaper aleichem letaher etchem mikol chatoteichem lifnei Adonai titaru ki vayom hazeh yechaper aleichem letaher etchem mikol chatoteichem lifnei Adonai titaru. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemer rabah be'almad v'achiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh b'chayechon u'yomechon ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יש מרבה מבורך לעולם ולעולם מימיה יתברך וישתבח
ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה. לילה ולילה מן כל מרחתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירם ועלמה ואמרו
In just a moment, we are going to begin the quiet Amidah, or the private Amidah, if you will, for this holy evening. Sometimes it's called the silent Amidah, but the emphasis is on the private part. There will be a moment for you to say the prayers that are in your heart. You can lean on the words of our tradition. They are strong. They will hold you up. Any prayers that are in your heart is appropriate for this time. The gates of prayer are open. And speaking of things that are open, we are going to open the Ark for this Amidah. The honor of opening the Ark belongs to Jeff and Jennifer Dabaski and Randy and Mona Schulman, and I believe Jeff and Jack are here to do it in person. Please rise as the Ark is open. When you're finished with your personal prayers, you may be seated. The Amidah begins on page 213. We continue on 223 with Ya'aleh. We remain standing as the ark is open.
יעלה תחנוננו מערב ויבוא שוועתנו מבוקר וירא רינוננו עד ערב עד ערב יעלה קולנו מערב ויבוא צדקתנו מבוקר וירא פדיוננו עד ערב עד ערב יעלה עינוינו מערב ויבוא סליחתנו מבוקר וירא דאגתנו עד ערב עד יעלה מנוסינו מערב ויבוא למענו מבוקר וירא כיפורנו עד ערב עד ערב יעלה אישנו מערב ויבוא למענו מבוקר וירא כינוננו עד ערב עד ערב יעלה זיכרוננו מערב ויבוא ויעודנו מבוקר וירא אדרתנו עד ערב עד יעלה דופקנו מערב ויבוא גאולנו מבוקר וירא בקשתנו עד ערב עד ערב יעלה כתנו מערב ויבוא אליך מבוקר וירא אלינו עד ערב עד ערב
seated. We continue on page 226. Page 226. Shkoyach.
אפיים אתה, ובעל הרחמים נקרתה, ודרך תשובה הורתה גידולת רחמך וחסידך תזכור היום, ובכל יום לזרע ידידך, תפן אליך ברחמך, כי אתה הוא בעל הרחמים. כיום וירד אדוני בענן, תעבור על פשע ותמחה אשם. כיום ויתייצב עמם, תאזין שבתנו ותקשיב ממנו מה אמר. כיום ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא. אדוני נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע, וחטאה ונקה. וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו, ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחלנו מלכנו כי פשענו. כי אתה אדוני טוב הסלח, ורב חסד לכל קורך.
We continue on page 229. Page 229.
אל מלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, מתנהג בחסידות, מוחל עוונות עמו, מעביר ראשון ראשון, ומרבה מחילה לחטאים וסליחה לפושעים. עושה צדקות עם כל בשר ורוח, לא כרעתם תגמול. לנו לומר 13, זכור לנו היום בלי ברית 13, כמו שהודעת לעניו מקדם, כמו שכתוב וירד אדוני בענן, ויתייצב עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא. אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, ארך אפיים ורב חסד באמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע, וחטאה ונקה. וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחלנו מלכנו כי פשענו. כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח, ורב חסד לכל קורך.
We continue on page 232, page 232.
אל מלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, מתנהג בחסידות, מוחל עוונות עמו, מעביר ראשון ראשון, מרבה מחילה לחטאים וסליחה לפושעים, עושה צדקות עם כל בשר ורוח, לא כרעתם תגמול. לא ראית לנו לומר 13, זכור לנו היום הברית 13, כמו שהודעת לעניו מקדם, כמו שכתוב, וירד אדוני בענן ויתייצב עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא. אדוני אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטאה ונקה, וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחלנו מלכנו כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח ורב חסד לכל קורך. אז הנה אדוני תפילתנו.
In a moment, we're going to continue with Shema Kolenu on page 233, but first, I'd like to call on Janice and Gideon Markin for the honor of opening the ark. Please rise. We're on 233.
Shema Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Shema Koleinu. Together, Shema Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Shema Koleinu. Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, chus ורחם עלינו, מקבל ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו. Shema, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Shema Koleinu. Hashiveinu Adonai Eloheinu, ראש ימינו כקדם, אל תשליכנו מלפניך, ורוח קודשך אל תיקח ממנו. אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, ככלות כוחנו אל תעזבנו. שמע שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו, אדוני אלוהינו, שמע קולנו. שמע שמע קולנו, שמע
standing while the ark is closed. You may be seated. We continue together on page 234, page 234.
כי אנו עמך ואתה אלוהינו, אנו בניך ואתה אבינו, אנו עבדיך ואתה אדוננו, אנו קהלך ואתה חלקנו, אנו נחלתך ואתה גורלנו, אנו צונך ואתה רוענו, היינו כרמך ואתה נודנו, אנו פעולתך ואתה יוצרנו, אנו רעייתך ואתה דודנו, אנו סגולתך ואתה קרובנו, היינו עמך ואתה מלכנו, אנו מאמירך ואתה מאמירנו. יאללה הזייפנים ואת הרחום וחנון, אנו קשי עורף ואת הערך אפיים, אנו מלא יבון ואת המלא רחמים, אנו ימינו כצל עובר ואתה הוא ושנותיך לא ימותו.
We're entering a space of prayers of confession. I just want to draw your attention to the fact that in all of these confessional prayers that we have coming up, these sort of litanies of sins, these manifold ways in which we might have made mistakes this year, in all of that recitation, the subject is always we. There's room for private confession, but here we take responsibility for each other. Even those things we're not proud of, we don't leave anybody behind. I just want to share this reading at the bottom of page 234 to begin with. We are insolent, you are gracious and compassionate. We are obstinate, you are patient. We are sinful, you are merciful. Our days are a passing shadow, but you are the one who truly is for time without end. Our God and God of our ancestors, hear our prayer. Do not ignore our plea. Our God and God of our ancestors, we are neither so insolent nor so obstinate as to claim in your presence that we are righteous without sin. For we, like our ancestors who came before us, have sinned. We're going to continue with the Ashamnu on page 235. It's our custom to rise.
Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu dofi, Evinu, Vahirashanu, Zadnu, Hamasnu, Tafalnu sheker, Yai la la ya 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 Kizavnu, Latnu, Maradnu, Niatnu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Tsararnu, Kishinu oref, Yaira lai lai lai, ya 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 ya, Laira lai lai lai, Yara lai lai lai, Yara lai lai lai, Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Ta'inu, Titanu, Hayya lai lai lai, ya ya ya, Yara la lai lai lai, ya lai la lai lai lai, Yara la lai lai lai, Yara la lai lai lai. שררנו ממצוותיך וממשפטיך הטובים, ולא שווה לנו. ואתה צדיק על כל הבעלינו, כי אמת עשית, ואנחנו הרשענו.
I'll ask you to stay standing as you're able just a little while longer. We go to page 237 for the Al-Khaitz. I believe we'll begin responsively. I'll start and you say the line after me. We have sinned against you unwillingly and willingly. We have sinned against you thoughtlessly. We have sinned against you through sexual immorality. We have sinned against you knowingly and deceitfully. We have sinned against you by defrauding others. We have sinned against you through forbidden trysts. We have sinned against you by scorning parents and teachers. We have sinned against you by resorting to violence. We have sinned against you through foul speech. We have sinned against you through pursuing the impulse to evil. For all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
ועל כולם אלוהי הסליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
We have sinned against you through denial and deceit. We have sinned against you by clever cynicism. We have sinned against you by the way we do business. We have sinned against you by greed and oppressive interest. We have sinned against you in everyday conversation. We have sinned against you through condescension. For all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
ועל כולם אלוהי הסליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
We have sinned against you by throwing off all restraint. We have sinned against you by plotting against others. We have sinned against you through superficiality. We have sinned against you by rushing to do evil. We have sinned against you through empty promises. We have sinned against you by betraying trust. For all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
ועל כולם אלוהי הסליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
Please remain standing as you're able as we go to Avinu Malkeinu on page 243. The honor of opening the ark belongs to Barbara Levinson and Linda Mazer. Page 243.
אבינו מלכנו, חטאנו לפניך. אבינו מלכנו, אין לנו מלך אלא אתה. אבינו מלכנו, עשה עמנו למען שמך. אבינו מלכנו, חדש עלינו שנה טובה.
We join together responsibly a few lines down from the top. Avinu Malkeinu, annul every harsh decree against us. Avinu Malkeinu, frustrate the plots of our enemies. Avinu Malkeinu, rid your covenanted people of disease, war, hunger, captivity, and destruction. Avinu Malkeinu, do not look toward our sins and transgressions, but blot them out. Avinu Malkeinu, send complete healing to the sick among your people. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for good in the book of life. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of sustenance. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of forgiveness.
Avinu Malkeinu, החזירנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך. אבינו מלכנו, שלח רפואה שלמה לכל ימיך. אבינו מלכנו, זוכרנו וזיכרון טוב לפניך. אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר חיים טובים. אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר גאולה וישועה. אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה. אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר הזכויות. אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה.
Avinu Malkeinu, cause our salvation to flourish soon. Avinu Malkeinu, rise up your anointed with strength. Avinu Malkeinu, accept our prayer willingly and lovingly. Avinu Malkeinu, remember that we are but dust. Avinu Malkeinu, do this for the sake of those who were martyred for your holy name. Avinu Malkeinu, do this for the sake of those who went through fire and water to sanctify your holy name. Avinu Malkeinu, have mercy on us. Answer us, for our deeds are insufficient. Deal with us charitably and lovingly, and redeem us.
אבינו מלכנו, שמע קולנו. אבינו מלכנו, חטאנו לפניך. אבינו מלכנו, חמול עלינו, ועלול עלינו, וטפנו. אבינו מלכנו, קל לדבר, וחרב רב מעלינו. אבינו מלכנו, קל לכל צר ומסטין מעלינו. אבינו מלכנו, אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר החיים טובים. אבינו מלכנו,
You may be seated. We conclude this part of our service with Kaddish Shalem on page 245, page 245. Yitgedal v'yikdash shemei Rabbah, Ba'alma divra kirtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayi dochol beit Yisrael, ba'galav v'zman kariv v'yimeru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam u'le'olamei olmaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yipar v'yitramam v'yinaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha brichu le'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata damiran v'yamal v'yimeru. Amen. Tika b'al tzor hon about hon d'kol Yisrael kodem avahon d'bishmaya v'yimeru. Amen. Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Uyase shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimeru. Amen.
Let's conclude with Leheila. I know you know it. We've introduced it many, many years ago. Let's join together. Leheila, Leheila.
Good Yantiv, everybody. If you're just joining us, we are, what's that? Oh, yes, I'll tell them. Don't worry about it. If you're just joining us, welcome to Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. We are delighted to have you here, whether you're here in the room, here on the Zoom, however you're getting here, we're delighted to have you. I'm sorry, I'm talking very quickly. There are two schools of thought when it comes to weaning off caffeine before Yom Kippur. It's like Hillel and Shammai. There are those who say you should start reducing your caffeine consumption well before Yom Kippur, so you are not plagued. I see somebody with the other camp over here. So that you are not plagued by the headaches, the what's-its, whatever, what have yous during Yom Kippur. You sort of ease into it. And there are those who say, like my teacher, Rabbi Aaron Alexander, who says, no, lehefek, you should double up. You should drink as much caffeine as possible. Or eat it, however you take it. You should consume as much caffeine as possible before Yom Kippur starts and just kind of try to ride that wave through to the end. So forgive me if I speak very quickly for the purposes of this brief discussion. And I also, as Cantor Ruth said, I need to slow down my speaking because we're doing something really wonderful here. I know that's no surprise to many of you, but this particular wonderful thing that we're doing is we have begun closed captioning parts of our service, especially the English parts. Be using less Hebrew in this sermon because the closed captioning does hilarious things to the Hebrew. So for those who are streaming it, you will be able to just see it on YouTube or Facebook, I hope. If you're on Zoom, I've been instructed to tell you there's a special button that you have to, some selection you have to make down at the bottom of your screen where you make choices. There's a little CC thing, and if you click on that, it'll help you get captioning on what I'm about to say as in a measured tone as possible. So I'm really proud of our community that we're able to offer that kind of accessibility and many other kinds of accessibility. Talking of which, it's said that many years ago, a student of the anthropologist Margaret Mead asked her, so exactly when do we call a people civilized? How can you tell when a group of humans have gone from just a small band of hunter-gatherers to a civitas, to a city, to a town, to a community? How do you mark that transition? Is it by seeing the remains of walls and fences and established agriculture? Is it by the shards of pots that are left behind and maybe the residue on those pots and seeing what kind of meals they shared together? And she says, no, you look to the femur. When we find femur bones in remains and grave sites and things like that, you can tell about people's level of commitment to one another. Because if you find a femur that has been broken and healed again, you know that you are dealing with an advanced, relatively, community, and not just a loose band of individuals there for a short time. Because it takes an evolution of thought, it takes an evolution of spirit, it takes an evolution of caring to wait for people who need to heal. I mean, when you are living hand to mouth, imagine the patience that it takes to let someone out of the productive economy and not just leave them behind because of all the resources they consume without contributing. To let them sit this one out for however long it took tens of thousands of years ago for a femur to set and heal. To wait, to care for them, to make room in their community and in their hearts for that person to get better. That's how you tell if a people is civilized. Do they make room for others to heal? We do that in a couple of different ways. We do that economically, if you want to stay on this example of the civitas and how they support one another. We do that with tzedakah. We do that with setting aside some of what we have and distributing it justly for people who are down in their luck, not so that they can be permanently set aside, a permanent underclass, but so that they can pull themselves up while we give them a hand. On a deeper level, we do that with avelut, the whole Jewish practice of comforting the mourner, as we've had the privilege of doing a few times in the last few days in this community, is about acknowledging that someone who has just lost somebody needs a break. And so just about all of our mitzvot, all the requirements for community engagement are set aside for a person who needs time to heal in their heart. And we ask mourners to say Kaddish not because they need more work to do, but because it binds us to show up for them and be around them, even if they feel like being alone. Tonight, I want to draw your attention to just one more way that we do that. Not at the level of economy, not at the level of biological necessity, but on a deep, deep spiritual level. It's a prayer that Cantor Ruth intoned earlier. If you want to follow along, it's on page 204. Don't worry, I'll call the next page number later. It's just this almost an aside in the preamble of Kol Nidre. Before we open the gates, before we call upon God to forgive the promises that we are powerless sometimes to keep, we say this: by the authority of the court on high, and by the authority of this court below, often represented by the Torah scrolls and the people holding them, and with the consent of this congregation, we grant permission to pray with those who have transgressed. Now, on one level, this kind of bothers me. It feels a little bit like the Rasha at Passover. He says, what does this service mean to you? You, he says, excluding himself. God, I ask permission from the court on high and from the court here below. I ask permission to pray with all these sinners. But I think there's a deep modesty in that. A person says it this way so they don't have to call themselves out, but they know. They know. Let me say that differently. We know what we've done. And here, at the advent of the holiest night of the year, with God as our witness, and with the blessing of the community, we say, we're here to pray, no matter how broken we are. We are here to pray among everyone in this community, whatever their brokenness. While we praise good deeds and we honor those who do them, we don't venerate saints in our tradition. We don't focus our eyes on the perfect at the exclusion of the broken. To do so would take our attention from our one true source of blessing. It might also preoccupy us with our own perfection and distract us from helping those who need it. Last year at this time, I was so preoccupied. I was standing on the stage back there in front of those beautiful tablecloths we have there. I was so preoccupied with whether anyone could feel like we were praying together. I didn't know. But I had my head so in that I couldn't imagine all we could accomplish toward the goal of everyone praying together. I thought this was an inclusive community before. Tonight, I am so proud of us. I'm so inspired by that contribution of yours. The people in the room, I know, are so grateful to be inside these walls together. And we are so much bigger than that. Our arms are so much wider, and so many people are joining us from so many places, so many kinds of people, with so many kinds of brokenness. I am so inspired by this accomplishment of ours. I want to encourage you to take it one step further. We know that this is an open place. Is it open to everybody? We know that this is a welcoming place. Is it a place where anyone can heal? And we've talked about all sorts of ways over these holidays, and we'll continue to do so, about how to heal the world. Tonight, I just want to focus your attention on how we are there for each other to heal. Ask yourself, am I going to be the person who just counts pages tonight? Am I going to be the person who looks to the ground until my prayers are done, or am I going to look up to see those who need my prayers? Am I going to look past the crowd to find my friends and no one else? Or will I smile with my eyes at the stranger in front of me, who may need that smile more than I know? Am I going to wear my facade and pretend it's all okay? Or will I let myself cry in front of others and let them know that that's okay? Tonight is the first night of our next 100 years. The grand opening of our greatest calling, to build and to build on a community that helps, a community that heals, a community that lifts all of us and each of us up. That community is in our hands. That calling is on us. Aleinu. Once again, Shana Tova, Gemar Chatima Tova, and thank you for joining us here at PJTC. We're going to continue the service with Aleinu on page 246. The honor of opening the ark belongs to Lawrence, Ariel, Talia, and Adam Harris. And I believe we got some folks here, Lawrence and some other folks who are going to be doing that here physically. Please rise, Aleinu on page 246.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ביום
When we gather together in times like this, that we perhaps most acutely remember those who are no longer with us. In a moment, we're going to say the Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 247. If there's a name that you'd like to lift up in honor of someone that you've lost, say their name out loud wherever you are, or hold that name in your heart. And I'll ask that if you are currently in mourning for anyone or observing a yard site, please rise, and we'll say the Mourner's Kaddish together on page 247. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Ba'alma divra kirutei v'amlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brihu le'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Amen. You may be seated for a few moments for some brief but meaningful announcements. The most important thing to do is just thank everybody who made this service possible. I want to thank Stacy and our board of directors. I want to thank all the wonderful volunteers throughout this community, all of our lay leaders, our staff par excellence. I've never worked with its equal. And especially tonight, I want to thank all of our wonderful musicians. They're spread out all over the place. And a special treat tonight, Janice Markham and your group. We got Janice, Circe Diaz Gamero, Ang Borlasa, and Cheska Markham. And of course, as our lovely tradition, Sarah Weiss on flute. Thank you so much, Sarah. And so with that, I think we're about to conclude our service. What time are we starting tomorrow?
Tomorrow we start at 9.
9, okay, that's a good time to start. So I hope to see many of you back here, whether you're in the room or on the Zoom. I wish all of you an easy fast and a meaningful holiday, and we are going to end this service as we began it. That is in joyful song, and so if you need the words for Don Olam, it's on page 249, but I imagine you'll recognize the tune. It sounds better singing when you are standing, so please rise as we sing our way out of here, and we will meet you all outside.
Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yatzir nira le'tatzav v'chepso azay melech shemo yikra ve'acharei kitot hakol levado yimlok nora v'lu aya v'lu yeh b'tifara ve'u echad sheni le'amshila le'avira ve'li reishit melitachit ve'lo ha'oz le'am Yisrael ve'u ei ve'chai glori ve'tzorchem li ve'etzara ve'u nisi u'manosi metat kosi ve'yom ekra בידו להפקיד רוחי ואת ישכן והעירה ראי ברוחי גבייתי אדוני לי ולא
Gemar Tov, everybody, and on your way out, make sure you grab one of these bags for our holiday food drive. Make sure you grab one of these bags and bring it back with food donations for all those who are hungry throughout the year.